So one must know that there must be something more we have to know. I would put it this way, that in the West, whatever knowledge we have had about science or about other things is like the knowledge of the tree which is outside. Now whatever Dr. Warren has told you is the knowledge of the roots. Now supposing if the East has learnt this knowledge from you, has tried to understand this knowledge of science, of course which is not very fruitful also, but doesn't matter. They have tried to learn this knowledge of science. Why not we try to learn the knowledge of the roots? The roots of the tree of life. Why should we not try to find out what are the roots which are to be nourished, which were neglected, and that's why we have problems. These are the roots within us which are being described. And when these roots are understood, then only we will see that something more has to happen, that we have to feel those roots. We don't feel them on our central nervous system. We have no sensitivity at all within us. For example, now supposing a person is getting mad, he is not conscious of it, that he is getting mad. Or if he develops some disease, he doesn't become conscious of it till he gets some pain. But actually these centers are the subtle energy centers which give energy to the plexuses and look after us very well. But how to enlighten these centers? That was the big problem. How to enlighten these centers so that we start feeling our roots. For that, God Almighty, who is our Father, who is very kind and gentle, in His all care has made this beautiful thing within us. And all of them are like the milestones of our evolution. These centers are to be enlightened. And when they are to be enlightened, something has to be done. For that, in the triangular bone here is placed the energy called the Kundalini. It's a Sanskrit word meaning the coils. It is in 3.5 coils for a particular mathematical reason. A mathematician can understand 3.5 is very important coefficient. 3.5 coils, it is placed there. And this has to be awakened like a primule in a seed to enlighten all these 6 centers and ultimately enter through this center, which is the 6th one in this order, because the 7th one lies down below the Kundalini. This is the important thing that has to happen to us to become the spirit that Christ has told us, that we have to become the spirit, that we are to be born again. It is again certifying ourselves that we are born again. You do not become. Let us accept one thing. We are not going to live with myths and dishonesty. If we are going to be honest with ourselves, it is beneficial to us. It is benevolent for us to be honest with ourselves and to realize that by giving ourselves certificates, we do not become anything. It's only a mental projection. Whether I call myself a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu makes no difference whatsoever. Whatever dress I wear or howsoever I comb my hair makes no difference to me at all. In all honesty, we have to perceive and see. To reach that absolute stage, this Kundalini has to rise. There's no other way out. And this is what is the Holy Ghost within us. This is the Holy Ghost. Is the reflection of the Holy Ghost, and Holy Ghost is the energy of God, which is love, which is His desire. His desire is the Holy Ghost and is reflected within us as the Kundalini. So the desire of God is that you should become the citizen of his kingdom. That you should enter into his kingdom and enjoy all the fruits of his blessings, understandingly, knowingly, on your central nervous system. This is his pure desire. And if that pure desire within us rises, then we see that all other desires were useless. And they are not pure either. Because we have some desires, say for example, we want to have a car, all right, have a car. They want to have a house, have a house. Never satisfied. In general, it is said that wants are not satiable. Because they are not wants, they are artificial wants. The real want, the real desire is this one. This energy of pure desire that says you have to unite with the divine, with the all-pervading power of God. That is our pure desire. And unless and until that desire is completed, you may do any kind of things, you may go to all kinds of things, try anything, you can never achieve it. Now, this is a living process, because God is a living being. He is not empty words. He is not just something like a dead book. He is not. He is a living God. He is a living energy. And this is a living process. So it has to be spontaneous. It has to be spontaneous if it is living. For example, there's a seed and you want to sprout it. Can you order it? Can you mentally say, all right, it has now sprouted? Can you say that, all right, I'll read these mantras to you or Bible to you or do this? Will it rise? No, it won't. It's a living process. You have to place it in the Mother Earth. Spontaneously it will rise. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to imagine anything. It will rise. And that's what it is, that this Kundalini has to be awakened. In the same manner, in the living process. Now, many people are surprised that I don't charge any money. How can you charge money for love, first of all? And this love, which is so spontaneous. I don't do anything. I'm just standing before you. I'm doing nothing at all. But if that love is, say, flowing all over, and if you get this awakening because of my presence, I'm doing nothing. It's your own. Whatever is your own, this Kundalini is your own, your desire is your own, and if you achieve your realization, it's your own. What is there to charge for? To be honest, I don't do anything. There's no obligation at all. It's just a catalyst. Then you become the catalyst, then the third person becomes the catalyst. Everybody can become the catalyst, but one has to be honest and truthful. Otherwise, you cannot find truth. If you are living with myths, how can you find the truth? Now the modern Sahaja Yoga, what I call it, whatever the way I'm trying it, is a little different that people could have used before. Like they first wanted to clear chakras after chakras, everything, and then go through all kinds of penances and all that and rise the Kundalini. Because people needed this cleansing. Now, what I thought was the easiest method is somehow or other to raise the Kundalini. Somehow. Make it even a little glimpse of the light into people. Let the light coming in the lamp. Let the lamp be seen by the people themselves. When the Kundalini rises, you see, there is a flickering, say, of the light. You can see yourself what's wrong with you, which chakra is catching, where is the problem. And then it's very easy to correct. But if I say, do this and do that, finished. Either they will categorically destroy me like Jesus, or they may make me into a Hitler or something like that. Better is that allow them to judge themselves. Let them become their own guide. Let them become their own gurus and find out. But how? When the Kundalini rises by itself and pierces through, what happens? That your hand starts speaking. You start feeling all around you the cool breeze of the Holy Ghost. You start feeling the cool breeze of the Holy Ghost coming out of your head.